सूर्यकोटि समप्रभ निर्विघ्नं कुरु मे देव सर्वकार्येषु सर्वदा। ॐ गणानां त्वा गणपतिं हवामहे कविं कवीनामुपमश्रवस्तमं ज्येष्ठराजं ब्रह्मणस्पत आनशृण्वन्नोतिभिसीदसादनम्। ॐ श्रीमहागणपतये नमः। ॐ एकदन्ताय विद्महे वक्रतुण्डाय धीमहि तन्नो दन्ती प्रचोदयात्। ॐ भद्रं कर्णेभिः शृणुयाम देवाः भद्रं पश्येमाक्षभिर्यजत्राः स्थिरैरङ्गैः स्तुष्ट्वागंसस्तनूभिः व्यशेम देवहितं यदायुः। स्वस्ति न इन्द्रो वृद्धश्रवाः स्वस्ति न पूषा विश्ववेदाः स्वस्ति नस्ताक्षोररिष्टनेमिः स्वस्ति नो बृहस्पतिर्ददातु। ॐ शन्नो मित्रः शं वरुणः शन्नो भवत्वर्यमा शन्न इन्द्रो बृहस्पतिः शन्नो विष्णुरुक्रमः। नमो ब्रह्मणे नमस्ते वायो त्वमेव प्रत्यक्षं ब्रह्मासि त्वमेव प्रत्यक्षं ब्रह्म वदिष्यामि ऋतं वदिष्यामि सत्यं वदिष्यामि तन्मामवतु तद्भक्तारमवतु अवतु माम् अवतु भक्तारम्। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। ॐ श्री सरस्वत्यै नमः। ॐ शारदा सरस्वती देवी माताय नमः। ॐ या कुन्देन्दुतुषारहारधवला या शुभ्रवस्त्रावृता या वीणावरदण्डमण्डितकरा या श्वेतपद्मासना या ब्रह्माच्युतशङ्करप्रभृतिभिः देवैः सदा वन्दिता सा मां पातु सरस्वती भगवती निःश्रेषजार्व्यापः। ॐ गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णु गुरुदेवो महेश्वरः गुरु साक्षात् परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। ॐ श्री अनुभवानन्दाय नमः। ॐ श्री चिन्मयानन्दाय नमः। ॐ श्री गुरुदत्ताय नमः। ॐ श्री सत्यसाईश्वराय नमः। ॐ श्री तपोवनाय नमः। ॐ श्री शंकराय नमः। ॐ श्री व्यासाय नमः। ॐ श्री तुलसीदासाय नमः। ॐ श्री शिवानंदाय नमः। ॐ नमो नारायणाय नमः। ॐ श्री परमात्मने नमः। ॐ नमो भगवते to wave the soft and sacred light before Bhagwan Sri Krishna. We pray that Lord, you are the light of our lives, as you have declared in your Bhagavad Gita, Aditya Namaham, that you are the light that is called as Aditya. You are the sun among all lights. Prabhu, the light that we are about to wave tonight is so very simple, made with a wick, a small little diya, and some oil. But Lord, this represents our bhakti, it represents our love. May you please accept us, and may you accept our love and devotion, Prabhu. May this light forever shine in our lives, guiding us to make the right choices, Lord, materially and spiritually. There are times, O Krishna, when darkness will come our way It is the way of the world. But when such time comes, Lord, we depend more on you more than ever. And tonight, as we sing your glories through the medium of Aarti, please bless us all. Jai Krishna Hare, Shri Krishna Hare, Dukhiyo ko dukha dur kare. Jai Krishna Hare, Shri Krishna Hare, Dukhiyo ko dukha dur kare. Jai Krishna Hare, Shri Krishna Hare. Yo Shanti Shubham Shanti Prithvi Shanti Atma Shanti Bhushate Shanti Vanaspati Shanti Vishnu Shanti Brahma Shanti Sarvagam Shanti Shanti Reva Shanti Sama Shanti Riddhi Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. प्रेम से बोले कैलाशपति शंकर भगवान की जय। आज शक्ति नौ दुर्गा माता की जय। My friends, at this time, I want to invite you to close your eyes for a moment, visualizing the beautiful form of Bhagwan Krishna as Bhagwan Vedvyashi takes us into Vrindavan. On the banks of the holy Yamuna, the cows, the gopis, they all have assembled, waiting for Bhagwan, waiting for their Krishna. And the gopis, including the cows, etc., even the birds and the insects, they could not wait for Bhagwan Krishna to come. And they will sing, calling upon him. Hey Govinda, Hey Gopal, Hey Govinda, Hey Gopal, Hey Dayal. They will call on their Krishna because they knew that he would come. Once he is called upon, he always responds to his devotees. Hey Govinda, Hey Gopal, Hey Dayal. One of the reasons the gopis would always trust in him and believe in him, it's not because of the miracles that he did, it's not because of the many lives he transformed, but because he was so very sweet. And they will praise him by saying, Adaram Madhuram, Vadanam Madhuram, Nayanam Madhuram, Hasitam Madhuram, Hridayam Madhuram, Gamanam Madhuram, Madhuradipate, Akilam Madhuram. Madhura means that he was so very sweet. Everything about him was so sweet. Our little Krishna. Vachanam Madhuram, his words were very sweet. Charitam Madhuram, his actions were very sweet. Vasitam Madhuram, he would dress, his clothes were very sweet. Valitam Madhuram, Chalitam Madhuram, Brahmitam Madhuram, Madhuradipate, Akilam Madhuram. Everything about Krishna That's so sweet. You remember the time, my friends, when Arjuna and Duryodhana, they both had to make a choice in choosing either Krishna, who will not fight, or the army of Krishna, who will fight in the Mahabharata war. Arjuna was asked to choose. With his hands together, his eyes ready to stream tears, he says, Lord, I do not want your army that will fight in the war. I want you to drive my chariot. That's all. That's all I am asking, Prabhu. Friends, do you have a chariot tonight? Do you have a battle to face in your life? Are we facing battles time and time again? Maybe sometimes emotional battles? Are we facing intellectual battles or spiritual battles? Friends, there are many people who are facing physical battles in their own way tonight. Whatever might be the battle, and wherever the battlefield is, remember, there is only one person that can drive our chariot tonight. If you have faith in him, ask him to be the captain. Ask him to be the driver of your chariot. I can try to do it for you. But friends, if you do it for yourself, it makes a lot of difference. He is so sweet. Everything about him is so powerful. Everything about him is so unique. If there is a battle in your life, call on him. Vayur madhuro, renur madhura, vani madhura, pado madhuro, nrityam madhuram, satyam madhuram, madhuradipate, akilam madhuram, sakyam. His friendship is so sweet. Have you ever found a friend in the Lord? Brothers and sisters, is your friend the Lord? And if you have not chosen a best friend, my friends, ask him to be your friend tonight. Remember, Tvameva Bandhu Chasaka Tvameva. He is our eternal friend. We say it every day. And tonight, if you want to ask him to be your friend, your personal friend, if you want to ask him to confide in him, ask him, talk to him, tell him, let him know your personal situations. Talk out, my friends. There might be things in your life or your mind that you will not be able to tell anyone, or you do not want to confide in anyone. Talk to him tonight. For he is very sweet and understanding. His friendship is very unique, and he is very confidential. Akilam madhuram madhuradipate akilam madhuram. The gopis, they will see him coming, and they will all be thrilled because they knew that he will come. And friends, they will hold the hand of each other and they will say, Chalo re man Ganga Jamuna te. Let's go to the bank of the Ganga and Yamuna together. They will hold the hands of each other and they will sing, they will dance in celebration of their Krishna coming into their lives. Chalo re man Ganga Jamuna te. Chalo re man Ganga Jamuna te. They will, my friends, see him playing the bansuri, and he will also be dancing with the gopis. Bansi bajat nachat kanha, sangaliye paladi, chalo re man Ganga Jamuna te, chalo re man Ganga Jamuna te. Pita sohi in a pitambar, a yellow dhoti, silk. And Mora Mukut, you will have the peacock feather, tucked in his ears. He will be smiling and his eyes glowing. Oh Krishna. Mora Mukut, pitambar sohi. Undal jalat dhari, chalo re mana ganga jamuna. Chalo re mana ganga jamuna. Ganga jamuna nirmal pani, Ganga jamuna, Ganga jamuna nirmal pani, sheetal ho shareer, chalo re mana Ganga jamuna, chalo re mana Ganga. Meera was one of the great devotees of Bhagwan Krishna, and she would dance on the streets of Gokul and Vrindavan. And she was also gali gali hari good gaane lagi. Her mind was absorbed in Krishna. She is saying, Meera ke Prabhu ki dharna kar. Meera ke Prabhu ki dharna kar. Charan kamal pad si chalo re mana ganga jamuna. Chalo re mana ganga. Ganga jamuna ki chalo re mana 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 ganga jamuna ki. Last night, my friends, Bhagwan Krishna, he told something that is very interesting. Just to recap a little bit of the verse that we saw last night. The Lord said, the wise man, the noble soul, Vidya Vinaya Sampanne, Brahmane Gavihastini, Shuni Shaiva Shopakecha Pandita Samadarshinaha. The wise look upon the Brahmana, they look upon the what you call the cow, the elephant, and even the dog with an equal, what you call an equal vision, an equal mind, samadarshinaha, meaning that they consider the Brahmana, the cow, the elephant, the dog, not as different. And we mentioned something last night that was very, very important for every one of us to keep in our hearts. Friends, look around you. Look around you tonight and see if there is anyone who looks like you. Anybody look like you? Where Krishna Pandit Narayan look like him? My friends, none of us are physically the same. None of us are physically the same or resemble each other unless there is some biological link. Maybe through siblings or parents, etc. There might be some biological link between us. But we, in fact, have differences, and we all are different unless we are some, what you call, identical twins. And even in the identical twins, there are differences. But Bhagwan is saying, as he lifts our what you call, intellect to one step higher, beyond the body, we all are the same. Beyond the body, we all are the same. Now when he says here, he puts in a very important word in this verse. Pandita Samadarshinaha. He puts this word Pandit at the beginning of Samadarshinaha, in fact before the word Samadarshi. And he says here, the Pandit or the wise man, the wise person, sees everyone alike. In other words, what he is saying, the wise man does not look at the body and is influenced by the body, but the wise man looks beyond the body. The other wise man, like you and me, the simple people who are less educated, we are caught up in the body and we are caught up in what she's wearing and what he's looking like and what the style of the hair and the style of the makeup and the style of the jewelry and all those things. We get caught up in the limited paraphernalia of the physical sheep called the gross body. But the wise individual go beyond that. So when the Lord is speaking here, friends, it's very interesting to note. The soul in the Brahmana is not different from the soul in the cow. The soul in the cow is not different from the soul in the elephant. The soul in the elephant is not different from that of a dog. The soul of the dog is not different from that which is existing in a plant. The soul is the same. The difference is the human being can do two things. One, the human being can create karma, and the human being can reduce karma. Keep that in mind. The human being can create karma, and the human being can reduce karma. So keeping that in mind, the plant, the animal, the dog, etc., they cannot create karma, they are exhausting karma. So what the dog, the plant, etc., the elephant, etc. are doing, they are in that particular species waiting for that karma to be exhausted in that particular form, and they will then exhaust that karma. When that karma is finished, then, my friends, it is determined for that soul to move into a higher plane of consciousness or into a higher state of existence. But the human being now, let's go back to the human being. The human being who creates karma will have to continuously come back to enjoy or to experience his or her karma or their doings. The human being that creates karma will have to continuously experience the result of karma. If the human being, like the wise man, decides that he wants to exhaust karma, he wants to finish off with this karma in this life, what he does? He performs actions selflessly without looking for the fruits of his action. That person of selfless doings does not have to come back again and again to face the results of karma or to be bound in bondage by karma. So when the Lord is referring to the here, and he is referring to the wise person, he is lifting the intellectual ability of that person, of you and I, to go beyond the body. Now why is he telling Arjuna this? Remember, Arjuna is on the battlefield. Arjuna is ready to fight. He is telling Arjuna, Arjuna, rise beyond the body. There are thousands of people on the hundreds of thousands of people on the battlefield. Go beyond the body. The soul, later on he will tell, fire cannot burn the soul. In fact, he told before in chapter 2, fire cannot burn the soul, water cannot wet it, the wind cannot dry it. With that understanding, Arjuna, you are not killing the soul of those on the battlefield, but what you are doing, you are protecting Mother Earth, and you are protecting the world of people whose mind has become impure and whose mind remains impure and only needs to be purified through this means. Through this means, my friends, it is said in the company of God, to be in the company of God, the mind has to be pure. I want to ask you all a question. I don't know if you have the answer. If Bhagavan Krishna was on the battlefield and all the people on the battlefield, the Kauravas, etc., had the ability to get the darshan of Bhagavan Krishna, tell me something, friends. Why was their mind not pure? They were blessed to be in the company of the living God, Bhagavan Krishna, on the earth. Why is it the Kauravas continue to be miserable and continue to be selfish and continue to hurt the Pandavas by looting and stealing and deceiving them through gambling, etc., and by other means, even trying to destroy them in the house of wax, burn the house of wax? Duryodhana was so wicked. He built the house of wax in the Mahabharata, and he told them, he exiled them to the forest for 12 years, and they have to be for 1 year, a total of 13 years, in 1 year after the 12 years incognito. Nobody should see them. And if somebody were to see them, they would have to go back for another 12 years. Very wicked was Duryodhana. Duryodhana had the opportunity to see the Lord on many occasions. Why is it, friends, he continued to think negative? Why is it he continued to think selfishly? Why is it Duryodhana was not sanctified and purified? You see, this is very important for every one of us to remember, my friends. If we do not make efforts, and we do not put efforts into purifying our minds, even God can't help us. We were brought up, all of us were brought up, 169 years ago, our forefathers came to this part of the world. 169 years ago. And they gave us something. They gave us a culture. They gave us this. Bhagavad Gita. They gave us the Ramcharitamanas. They gave us morals and they gave us values. And many of them used to always mention, your life is in your hands. Friends, there was a young man. This young man had a child, a girl. The child, the daughter, was about to turn 3 years old. But about a few months before her third birthday, this man was paranoid. He was becoming even sick that his daughter is going to turn 3, and when she turns 3, she is going to die. The man just had that in his mind. But he was paranoid about it. He was becoming so, what you call, uneasy, that when his daughter turned 3, she is going to die. He met with somebody who can take him back into the past through regression. And while the man was on the regression table, or the regression chair, the guy took him back into the past. And this was the conversation. He asked him, what is your name? He said, well, let me give you a proper guidance as to how it went. He said, when you go back into the past, you will see a door. The door will open. When the door opens, go through. From the time you cross the door, you are into your past. So the man saw the door, he went through the door, he was in the past. Now he asked him, what year are you in? He said, 1865. Are you a man or are you a woman? He says, I am a woman. What is your name? My name is Rosalind. Are you married? Yes, I am. What is your husband's name? My husband's name is Louis. Where are you? And he said, I am in Paris or France or someplace of that nature. The interview went on, the regression went on. He said, what are you seeing around you? I'm sorry. He said, I'm in Montreal. While he was talking about Montreal, the guy who was doing a regression started speaking French, since French is one of the languages of Montreal in Canada. While speaking in French, the guy was responding in French. He says, tell me, what are you seeing around you? I'm seeing tall buildings, very old. Are there anything else? Yes, I am seeing horses and carriages. Of course, in 1865, there will be horses and carriages. Are there anything else? And as the guy asked this question, the man said, please don't, please don't. And he started screaming. In the regression, he started screaming, please don't. And as he said that a couple times, he started to cry. And then became very quiet and said, it's all over now. It's all over. Friends, when this regression was completed, the guy told him, he said, come back in 2 weeks, you will get your results. Now, he did all the research. He found the place in Montreal. He found how it was. He had pictures of how it was in 1865. He found the name of the person as he was baptized at that time as what you call Rosalind. And he found the name of the husband, Louis, etc. in certain records. Now, this person, Rosalind, this person, Louis, they had a child. It was a little boy. And this little boy was playing in the yard. And when the guy said during the regression, please don't, what happened was the child ran out of a building and the child got struck down by a carriage, a horse and cart, and the child died. That child was 3 years old. When the child died, in the mind of the mother, Rosalind, who was Rosalind in her past life, she became traumatized by that situation. And that situation left an impression in her mind. Hundreds, from 1865 to now, is how many years? Over 140 something years ago. That impression remained in the mind of Rosalind, who is now born in this life as a man, who has not a son but a daughter, 3 years old, but he is paranoid that when his 3-year-old daughter turns 3, when his daughter turns 3, she is going to die. That, my dear brothers and sisters, was based on an impression created over 100 and more years before in the mind. Bhagavan Krishna tells in Bhagavad Gita, he says there was never a time when you and I were not existing. We were in the past, we are here now, and we will continue to be here in the future. In other words, what Vedanta tells the same mind that you and I had in the past is the same mind we have now in this life. And the same mind we are going to have in the future. That is why some people can remember their past. Some people can remember their present moment, not present, but predict the future. Some people, my dear brothers and sisters, have what you call déjà vu in French. Now, when the guy came back to the interview 2 weeks later, the man continued speaking to him in French. He says, I don't understand what you're saying. He said, but the interview 2 weeks ago was in French. You were speaking in French. He said, no, I don't know a word in French. And when the video was replayed for him, he saw that he was responding in French, which was the language of Montreal so many years before. So, at that time, when he went back into the what you call the past, he was able now to recollect that language and speak in this life the French language. This life, he doesn't know about it. That's why sometimes you hear, let me give an example of my mother. When my mother was in New York, my father always said he wished, they lived there for quite some time, he wished that when her time is coming close, he knew that they will return to Trinidad and they will be able to do everything here. So that time, one night in December of the year before she passed on, they were sleeping and she started speaking Hindi. Pure Shuddha Hindi. And she was saying, I want to go home. So my father was speaking to her in Hindi also, asking her, which home you want to go? And she responded, you don't know which home I want to go? And the next day he called and he said, Ved, what do you think? I said, you know what? You always wanted a sign to know when the time is close. I think that is the sign. Bring her home. And that was the December of the year before she passed on. So that was the sign. 2 months after she came, she passed on. And my father said to us, he had been married to her for 49 years and he never heard her speak such pure Hindi. Where did it come from? My friends, I want to make one very important point. The point is, our mind that we have now is the same mind we had in the past life and the same mind we have in this life. That will be a continuation. Now, according to Vedanta tells the man or the mind goes with the soul in every birth. Now, what human beings have to do is, I want to ask anybody, all of you tonight, a very simple question. When you build your home, let us say somebody built a home 5 years ago. Do you have to make changes and repairs to the home time and time again as you continue to live in the house? Yes or no? Like some people say the house will never done. You could never finish building a house. There's always something to do. So you always have home improvements. Home improvement projects going on all the time. When I was coming in, I saw this temple, is it the 10th month? 18th of the 10th month, 1938? 15th of the 10th month, 1938? 15th of the 10th month, 1938, this temple was built. How many changes happened in the temple? So improvement on the temple structure went on and on and on over all those years. My friends, in the same way, improvement mind improvement should be done by all of us time and time again. Mind improvement. Just like we improve the building, just like we improve the car, just like we change the vehicle, etc., we can't change the mind, but we can improve the standard and quality of the mind. How? By sanctifying and purifying the mind, Bhagavan says. That is what we have to do for ourselves. Now friends, keep this in mind. The more pure the mind becomes in this life, is the better our standard of living will be in the next life. And don't get me wrong, my Krish, standard of living has nothing to do with the size of the house you have. Standard of living has nothing to do with the car you drive, or the clothes you wear, or the money in the bank. Standard of life means how we think. That determines our standard of living and our standard of life. Brothers and sisters, there are many people who have good jobs, nice houses, nice cars, etc., plenty money, but they don't have no peace. There are many people, their life becomes miserable on a daily basis, always complaining, always finding faults, always criticizing. It is no fault of theirs, it is only the condition of their mind. Now, this is so sweet. A beautiful thought just came to my mind. My friends, when you go to the river and the water is dirty, do you use it? Do you use it? How many of you use dirty water? Gayatri? Well, you had the pond next to your house. Gayatri had a nice pond next to them. And when the water is dirty, unless you don't have a choice, my friends, I think all of us will make a decision that we will not use the dirty water. Now, in the same way, when we come into contact with a world and with people of the world whose mind cannot be better, who cannot think differently, cannot think better, whose mind is influenced by negative, do we have to associate with them? That choice is only for you to make. That decision is only for you to make, my friends. That decision is for us all to decide for ourselves. If I have clothes that needs to be washed, and when I go to the river, I know my clothes is dirty, but when I go to the river, I see the water dirty. It does not make any sense taking my clothes to wash it in dirty water. It will only get more dirty. Be very attentive. If I need help, if I need mental help, if I need to elevate myself, if I need to become a better person, and I have people who I know in my life, but they are not better in their thinking, will I ever make that decision to associate with them? Or will I, my friends, wait patiently for the water to get clean? Bhaiya, Didi, children, devotees of God, the best bet is to keep the dirty clothes and wait for some time. The water will get clean one day. It will get clean one day. Bhagavan is saying, this is the approach of a wise man or of a wise person. This is why Meera and all the devotees found it so very important to go and be close to Krishna. Why? Because he was with, Chalo re mana Ganga Jamuna Tir. What kind of Jamuna it is? Ganga Jamuna Nirmal Pani. Nirmal means they went to the Ganga and the Yamuna because the water was pure. The water was clean. You know what that means, friends? It don't mean go by the river Ganga and Yamuna, you know. It means go by the people who have the qualities of Ganga to purify us. Go by the people who have the qualities of Yamuna to purify us. Nirmalapani. For devotees, do not be associated with negatives. It will only do you more harm. When a person is complaining and complaining and complaining and complaining and complaining all the time, nothing good to say about nobody, you know what to do if you cannot stop them? Pretend you're listening. And when they're talking, well, shake your head. Yeah, boy. As soon as they're finished, you forget everything they say. Please forget everything they say, because it will do no good to you. It will not do good to us. Complain. Only negative all the time. Are Baba, when will we become pure? Bhaiya, Diri, devotees, children of God, suppose we are in the company of these negative ones and a lightning flash and strike us down. Will we die with negative? Am I ready to die with negative in my mind? Am I ready to die with my mind not clean? Am I ready to die with my mind impure because of what I have received in the world? Since none of us are sure when that time is coming, we better put on when you play cricket, you put on the pads on your shin bones and wait for the ball to be bowled. And when the ball is bowled, you better be prepared to save like a Guyanese. Knock him, man. But do not allow that ball, my friends, to strike you. Be prepared with the bat of your wisdom and knowledge to strike the negatives away. You see, the batsman have to be so careful. You see the ball? The ball is like a negative thing coming towards the batsman. And the batsman's his approach is, when that ball comes, I am going to hit it for 6. When people come to you with their bad thoughts, hit them for 6. Because when you hit for 6, you will win the game of life. We are the Pani. Prabhu, I do not want to take your chandan and make your chandan in dirty water. Please make the Pani of my life nirmal. Prabhuji, tum chandan hum pani, pani, tum chandan hum pani. light in the batti. Oh Bhagwan, the light will only light on the wick. The oil in the diya is our lifespan. My friends, if we are the wick, the light on the diya is Bhagwan, and the oil is our lifespan. When the oil finishes, what happens to the batti? It gets also consumed in the fire. That is Bhagwan of God, brothers and sisters. But there are times when the diya will not burn out the oil. When the wind of situations will blow, the flame can leave, and the diya again remains without the light. It doesn't have, my friends, an existence without the light. It doesn't have a value without the light. When a diya is lighting, everyone will show respect to that diya. But when the diya has no flame, it isn't it. Okay, it's a diya. Brothers and sisters, Bhagwan is the light in our lives. Let us live in this life to purify this mind of ours. This is the time so that when the moment of our life will come, when the oil of our existence will burn out, we'll be in a better position, in a better situation, my friends. Now, since our mission in this life is to make the mind as pure as possible so that we can have a better existence. So, remember, just like you have form improvement, we have mind improvement. Now, Bhagavan says in the 21st verse of the 5th chapter, listen to what the Lord says. Shri Govindaya Namo Namah Paramatma परमाय कृष्णाय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः बाह्ये स्पर्शेव सक्तात्मा विन्दत्यात्मनि यत् सुखम् स ब्रह्मयोगयुक्तात्मा सुखमक्षयमश्नुते बाह्यस्पर्शेव सक्तात्मा विन्दत्यात्मनि यत् सुखम् स ब्रह्मयोगयुक्तात्मा सुखमक्षयमश्नुते श्री गोविन्दाय नमः The Lord says, बाह्य स्पर्शे स्वसक्तात्मा स्पर्शेषु आसक्तः आत्मा विन्द्यति आत्मनि यत् सुखम्. This means be very, very alert. The Lord says, he whose mind remains unattached to the sense objects. Sat Atma, mind, this word Atma here doesn't mean soul, it means mind here. Bahya Sparsheva Sat Atma, Asakta, unattached to the sense objects, whose mind remains unattached to the sense objects. Vindati Atmani Yat Sukham, who gains Sukham, who gains joy from meditation, who gains joy from the self, who gains joy from what you call the self, the soul, the Atma, the within, in other words. That joy is called as Saha Brahma Yoga Yuktatma. That, what you call joy, is called as Sattvic joy. There are three kinds of happiness. Three kinds of happiness. Tamoguna happiness, you have Rajoguna happiness, and you have Sattva-guna happiness. You know the difference? All is happiness in it. So one is Tamoguna, one is Rajoguna, and one is Sattva-guna. What's the difference? What do you all think the difference is? Let's see. Tamoguna happiness is happiness that we feel, but it does not last long at all. We feel happy 1 second, next moment finish. Tamoguna happiness. Now, another way to look at it. Tamoguna happiness is also happiness that we get from Tamoguna means. The means of Tamoguna brings what you call Tamoguna results. So we are happy, no doubt. Now, for example, anybody who are present here tonight, there are some people who get happy by hurting others, true or false? There are some people, they feel so happy that they made somebody's life miserable. Isn't it? Some people, they feel happy because the wrong thing they are doing, nobody knows about it. So inside their heart they say, no, I'm feeling real happy and good. That is Tamoguna happiness. Now the thing about Tamoguna, because the means of that happiness is low, that kind of happiness gives results, but it also takes us into a low state. It finishes very quickly. Rajoguna happiness is happiness where a person is always doing something to be happy. Constantly doing something. Always have to do something to be happy. I can't sit down and just relax and be happy. I always have to do something to be happy. Nothing is wrong with that. Do what you have to do to be happy. But it is caused by Rajoguna. How long you keep on doing? Your body will get exhausted one day. So when your body gets exhausted, what happens? You're not going to be happy? Rajoguna happiness. Constantly doing something to be happy. Sometimes the wife in the house always have to do something to make the husband happy. That poor fellow can't be happy at all. The wife always have to do something. And if he or she don't do nothing, he's not happy. And because he is miserable, he makes her miserable and everybody else miserable in the house. That Rajoguna happiness, when you keep on doing all the time, do this, do that, don't do it like this, do it like that, don't do it like that, do it like this. Sometimes we people like that also. Rajoguna, oriented. But then there is another one, the highest of them all, is called a Sattva-guna happiness. That Sattva-guna happiness is the purest state of happiness. That is derived not from sensual objects. In the case of Tamoguna, the Tamoguna person is going after the sensual stimuli dependent upon the senses for their happiness and contact with the sensual objects for their happiness through sensual pleasure. The Rajoguna person also coming into contact with the objective world for his or her happiness. But Bhagavan says here, Bhayas Parsheva Saktatma, not through the sensual stimuli, but what he is saying here is true Sattva Guna happiness, which is not dependent on something or someone. Happiness is not dependent on something or someone. That is called as what is Sattva Guna happiness. That is going to last forever. That is called eternal happiness. Now tell me, friends, tonight, take out your mirror of your reflection. Take out the mirror of your own reflective energy, your intellect, and see how often do you have to depend on something or somebody for your happiness. How often do we have to depend on somebody or something for happiness? You see, that's another question only you can answer. I'm dependent on the children to make me happy. I'm dependent on the wife to make me happy. I'm dependent on the husband to make me happy. I'm dependent on the money to make me happy. I'm dependent on the job to make me happy. I'm dependent on the colleagues to make me happy. I'm dependent on something or the other. On the promotion to make me happy. If I don't get the promotion, I'm not happy. So then the life becomes a constant struggle, and life becomes a constant worry, and life becomes a constant misery. So therefore, Sattva Guna happiness has no place in the mind that has become like this. And because the mind cannot experience sattvic joy, or the mind cannot experience sattvic happiness, it will not last. Chapter 5, verse number 21. Go and read it. I told you all to read last night the verses. You all did? If you read it, very good. If you didn't read it, very, very good. That's why I'm telling you the verse we are reading, so that you can go home and take up your Gita and look back at it and see how we can apply it in our lives. So Bhagavan says that sattvic joy dwells in the mind. Right in the mind. Right in our own mind. But that can only come when the mind is pure and sanctified, and the mind is thinking along the right line. Friends, it doesn't take 5 seconds to purify the mind. Some people can purify their mind in 1 second. Some people can purify their mind in 1 hour. Some people can purify their mind in 1 day. Some people can purify their mind in 1 month. Some people can purify their mind in 1 year. Some people can purify their mind in 1 lifetime. And some people can purify their mind in many lifetimes. All depends. Some students will study in 3 years and get their degree, and some students have to study 4 years and get the same degree, and some students have to study 5 years and get the same degree. Everybody is different. Nothing is wrong. But the point we are making is, are we making the efforts in the right direction for this joy that is to last forever? This sattvic happiness dwells in the mind of the yogi. And Sa Brahma Yoga Yuktatma. You see, Bhagavan is very, very unique, Bhagavan Krishna. He didn't just say that what you call Mahatma. He says that Brahma Yoga Yuktatma. That Yuktatma meaning the one who has really developed and evolved, have become one with this knowledge. He completely identifies himself through the knowledge that he has with the Supreme Brahman. And this is what he enjoys, eternal bliss. Devotees of God, children of the Rishis, we don't have to change our religion to have eternal happiness. We don't have to change anything but our mind from thinking negative to experience eternal happiness. We don't have to do nothing, brothers and sisters, but purify the mind to have eternal happiness. It is not something we could buy, and it is not something we can buy. And this is why even in the Ramacharita of Goswami Tulsidas Ji, he says, Isha bajanu sarati sujana birati charma santosha kripana. Isha bajanu sarati sujana. The time when Vishnu questioned Bhagavan Sri Ramchandra Ji, he says, Prabhu, how are you going to face Ravan? You do not even have a chariot. Nor even a charioteer. Bhagavan Sri Ram said these words to Vibhishan. He said, Sri Ram Jaya Rama Jaya Jaya Rama Sri Ram Jaya Rama Jaya Jaya Rama Sri Ram Jaya Rama Jaya Jaya Rama. Everyone, Shri Ram Jaya Rama Isha Bajanu Sarati Sujana Virati Charma Santosha Bhagavan says here, how to continue? experience that eternal bliss? How to experience that eternal joy? Sukham akshayam ashnuti. How to experience that absolute bliss? Isha bhajano sarati sujana. That is how to experience eternal bliss. To make it simple, when a person now gets their driver's license at the age of 17 or 18, now recently got their license, and you sit down with that person in the car, and that person is driving for the first time on the road with a permit. Tell me how you will feel in that vehicle with that person. How you will feel? From the time you sit down in the car, oh Lord God, I want you, Lord, please make sure we reach safely where we are going. But if you are sitting in the car, the same car, with a person who has 40 years experience in driving, does it ever come to your mind that you have to be concerned about this person's driving skills? No. You will be so comfortable because this person knows exactly how to operate this machine in his or her hand. Bhagwan is telling, if you want to have, so in the drivers, in the case of the person who now got the license, that person, you will be a little bit tense because the person is an experienced. But if you're sitting in the company of an experienced driver, you will be less tense. If you want to have eternal bliss, Isha bhajanu sarati sujana. In the Lanka Kand of the Ramcharitamanas, Sri Ram is speaking to Vibhishan. He says, the driver of the chariot that I am sitting on is Isha Bhagwan Bhajana, chanting the name of the Lord, Isha Bhajana Sarati Sujana. The Lord's name is the driver of the chariot that I am sitting on. Friends, if you really want to have a true driver of your mind, Isha Bhajan, chant the bhajan, sing the Lord's name. Chant the Lord's name with faith to experience eternal bliss. I told this story several times about one of my godsons. He was only about 12 or 13 years at the time. And when I gave him the Guru Mantra, 1 week after, he called and says, Baba, you told me to chant my Guru Mantra once, 1 mala per day. But I just called to inform you, I am chanting 20 malas per day. I said, very good. If you're chanting 20 malas, that's very good. That's extremely good. So on another occasion I met him. I said, how are you chanting? How long does it take? He said, Baba, no for now, 20 malas, no for now I finish. I said, really? Like how much time? He said, Baba, less than 10 minutes I finish. I said, 20 malas? Show me how you do it. You take the mala, put it on your wrist, and spin the mala 20 times. Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Narayana, Om Namah. When the mala make 20 rounds, you see, done 20 malas. Isha bhajanu sarati sujana. God's name have to, God's name have to be the method, the driver of this chariot called the mind. And when Bhagwan's name is the driver of our chariot, friends, there will be some potholes. There will be some steep corners. And there will also be some very steep hills that we'll have to go through in life. Always treat your life like this. Life is a journey. There will be many steep hills. There will be many what you call dangerous corners. There will be many potholes on the roadways of life. But there will always be caution signs telling you how to proceed. But the only way you can read the sign is that if you study the law of driving, if you study regulation, you will know that when you see an upside down Z, what does that mean? so. What does that mean? See, forget your revelation. When you see an upside down Z, 1, 2, 3, that means steep curves ahead. Proceed with caution. Steep curves ahead. I hope I'm right. When you're driving, and in Trinidad, I think Trinidad and some of the Caribbean islands, you have to give hand signals. So you're driving, and they tell you, you have to make a right turn. You have to extend your right hand at shoulder level, palm facing forward. Right turn. So then you put your hands right outside the window, and you indicate to the driver at the back, hey, I am making a right turn. But that also tells that if you are making a right turn, that you're telling the other person at the back, hey, I am going to make a right turn. Which means the sign that I am giving is I am turning right. But this also means for the person in the back, it is unsafe to overtake. Now if that guy at the back does not know his regulation, and he see my hand outside like that, man, he put in kick down gear and wants to pass. Only thing that happen is that he will crash into me when I am turning right, because I have already indicated to him it is unsafe to overtake. My friends, in life, there are many signs that we are going to get. There are many regulations we have to follow in order to reach safety. Today, I was coming from Puja, around probably 3:30 around that time this evening. And just by the interchange in San Fernando, there was a merging lane, 2 lanes are merging, and there was a traffic buildup. One guy came all the way from the back, speeding up, and just cut into front of our car. My assistant was driving, Rishi, and he was, of course, both of us got a little bit shaken because the guy just pulled in front of us. And then was so bold-faced, he wanted to also overtake the traffic that was lined up at the traffic light and go into the other lane to block the other traffic. So at that time, I saw a truck coming around the corner, so I'm saying, oh God, please go here. I'm just saying that, not that he will go, but I'm saying he is so ignorant that if he goes, he cannot see around the corner, the truck will come up and meet him. That finished, he went in front of us and he ended up going. At the other traffic light, he wanted to go again, and he was going to, in fact, he decided that he's going to break the traffic light. He did. At that time I said, I wish the police pick up with him. He broke the traffic light, not thinking and being considerate that if other cars are coming down and he breaks his light, how he can endanger his life, his passenger's life, and the people coming along who has the green light to go. So he broke the traffic light, turned right, and as he did that, I heard, ooh, 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 siren behind him. I said, Jai Hanuman, Jai Bhagwan. He was even so bold-faced that even when he heard the siren of the police, he continued driving until the police had to pull in front of him to stop him. When I was passing by the police, I wanted to give the police a sign. But I didn't do that. I wanted to tell the police, fix him up, man. Because he's endangering people's life. My friends, the regulation of the road must be followed, but so too the regulation of the scriptures must also be followed. Because what we are searching for and what we want is eternal bliss. We want eternal bliss. So what we have to do, Sri Ram tells Vibhishan in the Ramcharitamanas Lanka Kanda, and in Bhagavad Gita chapter 5 verse number 21, Bhagwan is saying, chapter number 5 that is, verse number 21, Bhagwan says, this bliss can only come when we identify with that supreme being and we enjoy not tamoguna happiness, not rajoguna happiness, but sattva-guna happiness that is derived from the true source internally. This is why the gopis, my friends, the gopis knew how to be happy. It was not just about being in the company of Bhagavan Krishna. It was not just about him being sweet. It is because of how they felt when they were in his company. He being purity personified, he gave out that purity, that vibration of purity. Friends, when a person is pure in mind, that is all they can give. Homework tonight. From tonight until tomorrow night, anybody you meet, make them happy. Do something or say something to make them happy. That's the homework tonight. You be so positive and you be so happy that anybody come to you, they will feel your happiness and make themselves happy. Like anybody put their hand in the plug, what they get? That's all the plug will give. Shock. Electricity. Anybody you meet from tonight until tomorrow night, make them happy. Even if it's a person that you are not on good terms with, make them happy. Say something nice. Say something sweet. Say something loving. That is what Krishna, Bhagavan meant. And the gopis, this is what they found in Krishna. I dedicate this beautiful bhajan to all of you tonight. That you will be happy. But eternal happiness, sattva guna, pure happiness. And I dedicate this bhajan to all those who are listening on Akashvani, 106.5 FM, awakening the mind and spirit. And there is someone in particular, Vayagyan, and his wonderful Dulhin all the way in Toronto, Canada, who is listening to us tonight. They also love this bhajan very much. I dedicate this to them. Jai Radha Madhava Jai Kunja Vihari Jai Radha Madhava Jai Kunja Vihari Jai Radha Jai Kunja Vihari Jai Radha Jai Kunja Vihari Jai Gopi Jan Vallabha Jai Gopi Jan Vallabha Jai Girivaradhari Jai Radha Jai Kunja Vihari Murli Manohara Karuna Sagara Murli Manohara Murli Manohara Karuna Sagara Murli Manohara Karuna Sagara Jai Govardhan Dhari Jai Govardhan Dhari Jai Girivaradhari Jai Radha Madhava Jai Kunja उमापति महादेव की। बोलो भाई सब संतन की जय। आज शक्ति दुर्गा माता की जय।